Top 20 Driver's License Examiner Interview Questions and Answers. Driver license examiners are mainly charged with evaluating individuals to be awarded driving licenses. These include both private and commercial licenses. They make sure that the allocation is done in compliance with all the necessary laws. To discharge their duties, they offer written, oral and practical questions. They may also conduct background information on an individual if the need arises. This article will look at some questions you should expect in a driver's license examiner interview. Remember to also work on your interview skills if you make the shortlist. The following are some frequently asked questions in driver license examiner interviews. 1. Why are you interested in this role? This is an opening question. It serves three purposes: to act as a foundation for follow-up questions, to get you talking, and to determine whether you are the perfect fit for the job right from the start. The best way to go about it is to sell yourself. Sample answer. I am an experienced driver's license examiner who started as a driver. I, therefore, know what to examine while on the road and how to keep other road users safe during the examination. I can use these combined skills to ensure that unqualified drivers are not released to the road, putting the lives of other road users at risk. I will not disappoint if given a chance. 2. What are some roles of a driver license examiner? Do you know some of your mandates as a driver's license examiner? This is a simple question, which should not take you long to answer. The best way to go about it is to use the provided job description or mention some of your roles in your last workplace. Sample answer. Driver license examiners administer written and practical driving exams, obtain applicants' information, feed it to different databases, and oversee the issuance of licenses. They also remind the applicants of the penalties they will suffer if they break the rules and retrieve and examine their records. 3. What are some of the qualities that a driver's license examiner needs to be effective? Every job requires a set of qualities for successful execution. You know some requisites in the driver's license examination, given that you have been here for a while. Ensure that all the qualities you mention are role-specific. Sample answer. A good driver's license examiner should have excellent customer service and interpersonal skills to help get along well with the applicants. They must also be knowledgeable on the law, public safety standards, and practical driving skills. Lastly, they should possess vast skills in information storage and retrieval. 4. Mention a challenge that you faced during your last role. How did you manage it? All jobs present unique challenges which you should strive to conquer. This is a general question that seeks to ascertain if you are a problem solver. Convince the interviewer that you can deliver solutions without unnecessary whining. Sample answer. The main challenge during my former role was dealing with nervous applicants. Most of them were relatively older and therefore worried about their results. Some would sweat and shake during test drives. This also puts us at risk during tests by predisposing us to accidents. I made it my duty to be supportive and comforting to ensure that the applicants felt at home. 5. Describe your daily life. What are some of the activities you do in your day-to-day life as a driver's license examiner? The best approach is to pick a fully packed day and narrate it to the interviewer when answering this question. However, make sure that you only include relevant activities. Sample answer. My day revolves around evaluating applications, records, and any other document regarding eligibility and liability issues, preparing reports of different activities, decisions, recommendations, and evaluations, issuing licenses to deserving individuals, and advising licenses on licensing, passport and permit regulations. You can include any other necessary information. Just make sure that it is not illegal or irrelevant. 6. Briefly describe your experience. This question seeks an overview of your experience. It would help if you were brief and concise. Also, remember to mention experiences that will convince the interviewer that you are a valuable candidate. Sample answer. This is my 4th year in this field. However, I was formerly a long-distance driver. I have vast experience in driving and car maintenance. I have also worked as a test driver for Murray & Company, one of the biggest car companies in the state. Since I started working in this field, I have examined over 1,000 applicants with varied experiences. I have also been an interim supervisor at one point in my career. All these experiences make me a good option for this role. 7. Mention a strategy and mindset required for this role. Every job requires a unique and defined strategy. Your answer will tell the interviewer whether you understand and have whatever is needed for this role. The right mindset is the proper perspective that guides you in executing your duties as a driver's license examiner. Sample answer. The right way to go about this role is to support the applicants and weed out bias when conducting driving examinations. This is best achieved by tailoring your interview questions to focus on the skills and knowledge of the applicant other than personality traits and behavior. As for the proper mindset, a driver's license applicant should be open and accommodative to all applicants to help them reduce nervousness and thus register an accurate performance. 8. What is the main challenge that you foresee in this job? This is a common question asked by interviewers under the belief that you have done your research and therefore identified some of the areas that may be problematic in your new position. The best way to approach this question is to be honest while avoiding looking incompetent. Sample answer. I have been in this field for quite some time and therefore understand it inside out. I cannot consequently point at a problem that I may not be able to manage. Also, most of the challenges in this job, such as nervous candidates and potential accidents, are common and can be adequately avoided. I believe that I have all it takes to overcome any other challenge that may come my way. 9. How do you stay motivated in this role? This is yet another common question in interviews that seeks to understand what gives you the needed push in this role. Dealing with nervous clients who may predispose you to accidents can take a huge toll on you. When answering this question, make sure that you do not mention any material benefits. Sample answer. I have learned that the best motivation comes from deep within. I love succeeding in what I do and ensuring that licenses are only awarded to those who deserve them. The knowledge that I am helping my country or state keep off unqualified drivers gives me the needed push for this job. My love for driving and knowledge of cars also allows me to check in at work every day. 10. What are some of the strengths that make you suited for this role? The interviewer wants to know if you understand and have what is needed for this role. Ensure that you relate these strengths to the job at hand, meaning that you should only mention job-specific strengths. Sample answer. I am a passionate person who gives my all in whatever I do. This helps me in executing my duties as a driver's license examiner. I am also tolerant, a trait that is required to deal with nervous and aggressive applicants. Lastly, I have wide mastery of driving which makes me suited for this job. 11. How do you always ensure that your testing tactics are fair and in accordance with the required licensing standards? As a driver's license examiner, you should ensure that you are fair and unbiased when conducting driving tests. To answer this question, describe to the interviewer how you conduct driving tests and some of the factors you consider. Sample answer. I have learned to conduct tests in the same way every time. This brings about fairness and removes bias, such as the driver's personality, road conditions, and the type of vehicle. I, therefore, use the same procedure right from the greeting to the test and at the end. I documented this process a while back to be used for reference whenever I have a test to conduct. 12. What is your experience driving different vehicles? You think you are a good driver? As a driver's license examiner, you should always be ready to chip in whenever there is an emergency or your client fails to operate the vehicle as required. You can mention some of the cars that you have driven and your experience so far. Sample answer. I was an excellent truck and commercial driver before I became a driver's license examiner. Therefore, I know how to handle a great deal of cars. I love driving and learning about automobiles. In my free time, I research cars and different vehicles, which play an important role in my career. I, therefore, know several controls used to drive different cars. 13. How would you mentor another license examiner? This is a question that seeks to shed more light on your supervision and instruction skills. You may be called upon to train and mentor other license examiners. Convince the potential employer that you can advance within the organization and teach others. Sample answer. I am always asked to help in the training and mentorship of new employees, which helps me pass my skills and make others just as good as me. To help them, I normally talk about some of the challenges that I have faced and how they can manage them better than me. I am also open to questions and inquiries, which have helped me become a good teacher. 14. How do you feel about reporting? As a driver's license examiner, part of your job is to prepare reports on your candidates and testing experiences. This is usually one of the most boring jobs in this profession, which explains why interviewers love asking it. Show the interviewing panel that you are diligent. Sample answer. The best part of this job is usually conducting tests and the communications I have with the examiners. Paperwork is the least enjoyable part, even though it is equally important. However, I still ensure that it is done perfectly. I fill out the reports and the examination results carefully, which helps me document a driver's performance. 15. Do you normally take into consideration the personality of the examinee? Does it affect your decision? The interviewer wants to understand your biases when conducting licensing tests. The best way to answer this question is to demonstrate that they do not cloud your judgment in as much as you may be sensitive to personalities. Sample answer. I have examined close to 1,000 drivers in my career. I, therefore, know traits that show their personalities. I meet some aggressive personalities, evident from how they drive, and a majority of chilled individuals. Even though I am sensitive to these personalities, I tailor my testing techniques to exclusively focus on the driver's driving skills and not their personalities. 16. Do you consult with your supervisor and other officials before you decide that a driver has failed a test? This is an operational question that seeks to uncover how you go about your work. You should show the interviewer that you can collaborate with your management team and seek assistance. Sample answer. Even though this rarely happens, at times, I get drivers who miss the cutoff points by a whisker. In such instances, I consult with my supervisor and discuss the results before making a decision. I believe that consulting before giving the pass results helps me prevent cases of unqualified drivers on the road. 17. Do you normally identify the strengths and weaknesses of the drivers when conducting tests? This is another operational question that you should take note of. Make sure that you respond to this question directly and concisely. Also, be honest with the interviewer. Sample answer. I have vast experience conducting driver examinations. I can, therefore, easily identify some of the strengths and weaknesses of the drivers I examine. What I decide to do with that information depends on how receptive the examinee seems. I may offer a few tips based on the strengths or weaknesses I have identified, but only after giving the test results. 18. Mention an experience where an examiner tested your patience as a driver license examiner. This is a pretty obvious occurrence in examinations. People will always test your patience, even in daily-to-daily interactions. The best way to approach this question is to answer it directly and briefly. However, avoid using harsh words. Sample answer. This is a common occurrence in my line of work, mostly because even some of the most experienced drivers are usually nervous before and during the test. I have learned to accommodate such occurrences. I also ensure that I have done every possible thing to keep the driver from being upset. The only emotions I let myself show are support and encouragement. 19. How do you ensure that the examinees do not cause road accidents? This is a general question. The interviewer wants to know how you uphold road safety during your tests. Make sure that you talk of approved tactics and workable means. Also, answer this question briefly and concisely. Sample answer. I am always careful to avoid situations that may result in an accident. Therefore, I am keen on the driver's reactions. I also instruct the driver on several evasive controls they can take to avoid accidents. Given the importance I place on road safety, I have managed to avoid accidents in my examinations. 20. Are you experienced in explaining licensing, permit, and an array of regulations to the people you examine? This is a general question normally asked by the interviewer to find out more about your experience and background. It may also be asked as an opening question, from which follow-up questions may arise. Remember to be brief and concise when answering this question. Sample answer. I have had examinees ask me about certain issues surrounding licenses. Even though I am not mandated to offer answers, given that it is not part of my job description, I normally provide the information requested. For this, I can build a good working relationship with the examinee and reduce their nervousness. Conclusion. These are some of the commonly asked questions in driver license examiner interviews. Make sure that you have the answers at your fingertips and use your experience to answer the questions that appear technical. Also, work on your speaking and pronunciation skills to answer the questions well. We wish you all the best in your interview.